totally unimportant things. If I would be forced to live that way, I think I would go behind the woods and blow my hand off.
Still, even a Sasquatch investigator has to eat, and Dahidan earns a bare living here on the grounds of the Vancouver Gun Club. He has
In Columbia, we have a thing here from July the 4th, 1884, of a capturing of some kind of hairy, man-like creature.
This is Jackal.
Right.
Described as something of the gorilla. He had long, black, strong hair. He was a human being with one exception. His entire body, excepting his hands or paws.
Carried off in his sleeping bag. About he didn't anymore quite know the name Sasquatch. He just called hairy things out there, you know. From then on, I pestered him constantly, you know. Candy grabbed me, you know. That's
looking for some demented and presumably hairy Indian turned wild in the bush.
For granted. You know, the local population.
Cynocephaly, or dog-headed
Yeah,
man.
yeah. And did I put that in there? That Saint Christopher was one of those people, so to speak. And because he was a giant, he couldn't fast. You know, Saint Christopher. Then that was when they were busy Christianizing everybody, and he wanted that, you know. But he couldn't speak much, and he couldn't fast because they had to eat quite a lot, I guess. And he couldn't pray because he didn't have the language, and the monks were desperately thinking, well, what could he do, sort of thing. And then he figured, oh, he can carry people across this very dangerous river, and that would be his service to God. So that's when he got, and after that, a lot of heathens became Christians, you know, because of him. So that was how St. Christopher, but that was just way back. And this story here, I have a book that is called The Christianization of Scandinavia. It's a bunch of lectures from various...
Who's that book by?
It's a bunch of...
A compilation.
Yeah, from a conference that was happening in Sweden, I think. There was people from various places of the Scandinavian countries who recounted how it became Christianized. And in among these things, for some reason, is this little note here that I translated into English, and it has to do with a monk named Rimbert, and he was on his way out to Scandinavia, and he knew that up there was what they call dog-faced men.
Right, I heard of that, yeah.
They're referred to as encephalus in the Bible and so on. And he said, now, we need to know, and this is 826, they need to know, are these beings human or are they animal? Because if they're human, they are subjected to missionary work. And I found that interesting because on that wall...
That's quite extraordinary.
Yeah, on that wall I have this little paper, and there's copies on the internet. And that is down in the Skamania County in Washington. And there they are sitting in 1984 discussing, are these beings human or animal? Because if they're human, they could be up for homicide if somebody shot one. And if they're animal, well, they would be under endangered species protection. And I thought, well, this is interesting. This is 1,200 years later, and they're discussing to kill or not to kill. And here they're discussing to save their souls or not. So it's like pretty interesting stuff. So that's the first mention that I personally saw. And then one over here, you wanted to see. And that's his son up there. So they were carved out in the marble pillars in the basement of the church. And I never gave it a thought. And last year I just walked down there and thought, I'll take a picture of the giant fin, And I stood there and stared because what I saw was obviously, my goodness, this is a Sasquatch. I didn't add the two after 45 years of knowing about all this. Didn't add it together. And I thought and I stood there and you can see people have petted him for a long time. And the fur on his body in between here, they tried to put clothes on him when they were working with the humans.
Interesting.
Yeah. And here we are in 1145. And so I guess in here there are other places. Well, those are in books that I was hoping to get from Mr. Bayanov in Russia. And they have all this research from way back 700 before Christ. And then paintings and drawings of different artists and battles down in France and Nepal and so on.
So there you have it, an interview with the former wife of Rene Dahidan and the mother of his children, shot on location in Hope, BC at the Sasquatch Museum. The museum, of course, is closed now, but it was a great look into a person who was very close to Rene. In part 2 of this interview, she'll tell us a little more about her relationship with the man and the Sasquatch investigations that finally drove them apart. Hey, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time right back here on Monster of the Woods. Take care.